have the power.
I
Thank you,
feel
thank
very
you.
powerful when I do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and apparently we're not able to add co-host outside of VMware, which is unfortunate. So I need to add a lot more people. Cool. Okay. Seems like everybody's signed in thus far. I know Travis was just in a meeting with me, and he intended to show up, but maybe he'll show up here in a bit. We could get started with the status updates. I don't have anything in particular. I don't know if anybody else does.
Nothing really here.
Same.
Cool, cool. Seems like our focus is elsewhere. Completely understandable. Moving on to release planning. This we definitely have something around. Um, David, as I guess one of the things I want to mention is David will be doing the release management for this upcoming release. And so I'll let you, David, speak to most of that.
Sure. We are scheduled to release pack version 0015 in a week from today. So I'm going to cut the release branch. There's one PR that I'm waiting to talk through. But after that, I'm happy to create the release branch. And then we're going to do that with an RC to start creating RC releases as well.
Cool. I did hear through the grapevine that Windows is anticipating this release pretty heavily. It seems like they're starting to do a little bit of a promotion around it and some talks with different user groups about Windows support. And so they'd like to see this, integration with Pack available for people to be able to download it as soon as possible. So I think that coordination is going pretty well, and we should be able to, satisfy their request.
Windows being the Windows team as part of the CMP contributor, like the Windows channel.
So, I mean, the people that we're talking about right now are VMware specific team members. But yeah, overall, it's the people involved in the Windows CNB project. Yeah.
Great. Travis didn't miss much. We all pretty much said that we didn't have any specific status updates for platform and that we are cutting earlier. We're going to make a release branch today.
Okay, sounds good. I don't really have anything to add either. Just been some public conversations going on in Slack with regards to the dashboard for doing registry search stuff. So you can all follow along and see what has been discussed there. I know Javier has threw up some pretty cool mocks of what it could look like. So that's exciting to kind of see it come to life a little more and as we visualize where we might head. So, but yeah, nothing really new besides that for me.
Yeah, I
Oh, I
do
saw
want.
that. Oh, go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was going to change topics. So if this is still on topic, then you go ahead, actually.
Partially on topic.
Okay.
So I know one of the discussions we had just before this meeting was about some of the search functionality, right? And how that's going to be portrayed on the website and how we may or may not be able to use the same search functionality within Pack. I know that, Pack, search is something that you intend to kind of introduce or propose in the future. So that may be worth having
Yeah.
a discussion around in the near future.
Yeah.
That
Definitely.
would be a new command to search the registry for a build pack.
Exactly. Yeah. So like you can imagine having like pack registry search, uh, and then you could pass in some string, some arbitrary text like you would in the dashboard, UI form, and have it return a list of potential build packs candidates. So like the question is, like, ideally it would be nice to leverage the same underlying logic that performs the search, on both Pack and on the API itself. Pack is Go right now. The API is written in Node. I mean, we could rewrite it in Go and maybe share the library between the two. But yeah, it's just something we're thinking about. We brought it up this morning when we were talking in a one-on-one. I think probably the best approach for now is I should just write up that RFC and see what kind of comments and feedback I get from it.
Yeah, I think just to verbalize what we've already talked about a little bit more, I think the idea is a lot like Homebrew and apt-get, right? Where I think since we already have the cache locally, instead of making API calls to any central service and then having to formalize that interface, it would be best to just kind of use the local cache. And then because of that, I think that's where the complexities of sharing that logic or embedding that logic in Pack and then having to do very similar things on the API service for the front end become a conversation. Cool. Anything else on that one? All right, Travis, you wanted to change topics. Go for it.
I just had a quick, I wanted to follow up with a comment. I think, David, you mentioned me in one of those Slack questions that someone was asking about the ability to extend the pack-orb to include create builder. I was just wondering if you've been given or hearing about any other requests for that kind of a feature, or if it's just kind of a random question that came out of left field from this particular person.
Yeah, it's a random question. It's actually used to be a coworker. Now she's
Okay.
working for another company. But yeah, so I think Natalie, I introduced her to the pack-orb and looks like they want to use it.
Cool. Okay. No, it's good to know. Yeah, I think I mentioned, I don't know if you did create an issue or not. If not, don't worry about it. That's fine. But I was just saying, like, let's keep track of that work, and if it makes sense, we should go ahead and do it. I think that seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, looks like she did make an issue for it. She posted it in that thread.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. Yeah, as I mentioned, like we don't really have any hard, like, oh, this is a roadmap for where we're taking it. So it's pretty much just being community driven. So if anyone has any feedback or thoughts, just express it, and if it makes sense, we'll go ahead and do it.
Great.
And if I'm not mistaken, Heroku is using the pack-orb, right? Like dog fooding it in a sense.
Yeah, we are definitely.
Cool, nice. Yeah, I know we're not really using Tekton, so I feel like that one's a little bit of a needs a little bit more focus, and that's why I'm trying to make a shift to focus on it, but it hasn't quite happened yet.
Yeah, I saw that reminds me, I forgot Tekton's kind of this group, right? I think the Tekton examples, I think someone flagged it as problematic in the latest lifecycle releases, right? Because of some execution, like user stuff. I think the Tekton examples don't run as the CMD user, like setting the security context. So I don't know where we stand with that. Like you said, we're not dogfooding that either. So on the Heroku side, so I guess these sort of issues will just continue to kind of trickle in if we have external users, but we're not doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, not trying to remove myself from the responsibility, but I feel like a lot of the Tekton issues that do come up are very close to the usage of the lifecycle.
Yeah.
And part of me like wonders whether more of the knowledge is actually on the implementations team side versus the platform team, right? Like, and I don't necessarily know where the dividing line is, but like, yeah, like the Tekton is a platform, but again, because a lot of these issues that have come up are like very ingrained with the implementation, right? And so part of me is like, well, if you have the knowledge, why do I have to try to figure this out, right? And
Yep.
I don't know if that's something that we should explore further. And then platform just focus more on CI integrations that are of different natures or of a different nature. But just a random thought I had.
Yeah. No,
It's
I think
definitely
this will
true.
become more true. Yeah, I think that'll become more true with like extending like stack packs and stuff, right? Like that's going to be very specific and pretty impossible to do with the current template, I think, around, yeah, Tekton, for instance. But maybe that's okay. But as soon as, if both Paketo and Heroku start adding stack packs, then that will quickly devalue that template. Um, we add those to our default builders for whatever reason, for like apt packages, right?
So probably nothing actionable right now, but something to keep our ears to the ground about and be cognizant of as we add more complexity to the lifecycle usage. I know from what I hear, like Natalie, right? Like I think she's expressed some concerns about not necessarily being in line with what the user or close enough to the users, right? I guess you could say. And I wonder if, as by example, if supporting Tekton, that would bring them a little bit closer to like, how do you actually make Tekton work with the lifecycle since I'm developing the lifecycle, right? And then you could see kind of these complexities and things that could be improved there.
One we may want to consider. I have a PR adding some Circle CI and Tekton stuff to the samples repo, and so I would ask for someone to set up Circle CI so we can at least dog food it in our samples repo and show that it works. We may also want to have an active just a test pipeline of Tekton as well. The problem with that is that there's an expense involved in that because then we need to have a cluster. But
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, we have a Google account that's associated with the CMB project. I don't
We
necessarily know the history and who's actually financing that, but
yeah.
if,
we
if that's
we
already a
use
thing,
that for our demo. Like we made a bunch of clusters there. I don't know long term how expensing works in terms of like whether it's charged by the long running. I don't know how long a cluster runs. I would have to look more into like what GKE pricing is like.
yeah,
Just
for
because
sure.
I wouldn't want to set it up and then like we forget about it and like months later CNCF is like, why is there like a $4,000 bill for like one app? I don't know. Like
Yeah.
Very true.
It's a good question.
I do. Okay, this might be less ideal, but I guess another thing we could do is like set up ephemeral Tekton instances, right? So I know, for instance, like on in kind or using kind, you could set up or even what's the other one? The kind alternative.
Like
Uh,
Minikube or
Minikube, yes,
Yeah.
right? Like you could set up
K3 is all that stuff.
Tekton inside of that. And we could do that as part of an existing pipeline like GitHub Actions.
I wonder whether you can set up a cluster with actions. That'd be very interesting.
I mean, I don't see why not as long as you have access to Docker, Containerd on a Linux environment. Worth exploring. I mean, if we want to really step away from the GKE, right? But I think an action item for me from this, unless you want to take it on, David, is looking up who's paying for it and how much we have as far as flexibility goes with the Google account.
We'll probably have a minor PR coming in at some point to add Heroku Buildpacks 20 as a trusted builder at some point in the near future. We're kind of working on getting a new builder off of Bionic onto the newest one. So whenever that lands, just so that no one's surprised. But we'll probably want it in the trusted one just so that we don't have to have users pay for the cost of building and pulling down the lifecycle and everything.
Is it also
Yeah.
are you going to deprecate 18 at that point?
No, we'll probably leave that for a while at least.
'Cause that's still
Generally, the way it
LTS.
works is we just follow LTS roughly. Like I think, for instance, heroku just deprecated builds on Cedar 14 like last week officially. So but it's a little different with Docker because you can't do like the extended stuff from images, right? That people build themselves. So I think it may be slightly more aggressive for 18 than it was for Cedar 14, but no plans to deprecate anything right now.
So what is the process, Jesse, for adding it as an official?
I think there's just a
builder?
hard-coded list in pack, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, like the people who contribute add them there, and as long as it's approved by everybody, I guess it becomes trusted.
Seems easy enough then.
Rejected.
In our case, it's just another tag. So I think we'll have Buildpacks 18 and we'll have Buildpacks 20 now. So I guess we'll just list them both there.
That's the same thing. Paquito has 3 tags there. So
Yeah, does latest move for Paquito as well? Like, is latest on 20 or is it on 18? Like Bionic or whatever? Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't know how it works in pack.
Well,
Like,
base they point to 3 different stacks. They point to tiny, which is like a very small based off of distroless. Then they point to base, which is based off of 18. And then they point to full, which is the equivalent of like the Cloud Foundry stack.
right.
CF Linux FS3.
Is there a latest tag anywhere that points to something for Paquito or not? Like, because I think right now we have Buildpacks latest, which I guess is currently, I'm not sure which one's trusted in pack, but it'll be interesting to see, like, do we have both Buildpacks 18 trusted or is it just Buildpacks trusted? Because Buildpacks latest is different, or it will be at some point, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it's just 18.
Okay.
And I think we do, for the sake of minimizing or having better control of what's actually shifting, we probably do want to try to have the tags specified.
Yeah, we'll probably also on our side, we may want to consider removing the latest tag or something at some point. I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of scripts out there that just reference heroku/buildpacks, but it might be surprising if we decide to push 20 to it one day or something. Or it becomes deprecated because they don't realize they're on 20 or 18.
If I remember correctly, the Google Builder was tagless for a bit, and then eventually they decided to add a
They
specific
tagged
tag.
it to V1.
Yeah. Meaning V2 is coming up, whatever that means.
Yeah. Yeah, because we never just have endpoints that just have V1 and literally never get updated again. That's definitely not a thing that developers do.
All right. Anything else?
I was just going to say, Javier, you might want to talk to Emily. I know when I was first working on some stuff with CMB, she was the one that gave me access to the Google Cloud account and all that stuff. So she might have some administrative insights into the pricing and how things work.
Yeah. Yeah. I was planning on reaching out to Steven since I believe he should have
he would
also
probably
the
know
same.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know Emily's kind of distant from us now. So sad.
Really? What has she been up to?
She was in the spring team for a bit. I don't know if she's still there, but her focus has been more on spring.
Sounds good.
Her direct boss is Ben Hill, so she's still
That's what I thought
somewhat
I heard.
involved in the Buildpacks project.
Yeah. Just not on our team or any adjacent team.
So she did more of the Java side of the house, focused on the framework itself.
Yep.
Nice.
And again, that's the last I heard, so it might have changed.
Yeah.
She's a badass and always moving around to badass projects.
Fun.
Cool. Anything else?
Nothing on my end.
All right, let's call it all
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah.